My family called me selfish human garbage for refusing to fund my cousin's $90K fantasy wedding. Then my parents threw my childhood belongings into the driveway, changed the locks without warning, sent a mass email labeling me a vile, ungrateful parasite, and even tried to turn my friends against IU. My aunt showed up at my job, screaming I'd destroyed the family legacy. I didn't react until I finally snapped. The rage took over, and I did something that shattered everything. Today, they went into full meltdown. "You've ruined us! How dare you!" So, this all started with a message from my mom that just said, "We're talking about family legacy on Saturday. Don't ignore this." Which is already weird, because nobody in my family ever says stuff like legacy, unless they're about to ask you for something, or guilt trip you. And I was already kind of tired from the week, but whatever. I figure I'll show up, bring my own snacks, keep my head down, etc. Anyway, my family is complicated, I guess. I'm the only one of my siblings with a steady thing going on. Not like rolling in it, just not bouncing checks. And for some reason, that makes me the family ATM whenever someone's in a pinch. I got a cousin, Loretta, who's been planning some wedding people in my family have been hyping for over a year. She's always been the golden child. Not just for her parents, Aunt Tina, Uncle Albert, but my parents too. I don't even remember. The last time I talked to her, that wasn't about a family event where I had to chip in or help with tech stuff. So I show up to my parents' house, and there's already tension in the everyone's talking in these low voices, and my uncle keeps tapping his phone like he's waiting on an update. I go to the kitchen for a drink, and my mom gives me this look like, "Don't you dare make this about you." Whatever. I sit down, and Loretta launches into this whole story about how her dream venue is about to be booked out, and her vision for the wedding is going to fall apart unless we all step up. I'm not even exaggerating. She actually uses the word vision like she's pitching a startup. Tina, her mom, pulls out a spreadsheet, literally with tabs and everything, and she starts reading, off numbers, the total $90,000. Apparently, the family is pooling resources, and everyone with means is expected to contribute for the future of the family. And then right in front of everyone, she says, "Well, Edwin is the only one here who isn't struggling. So we're counting on him to give a real gift." And I'm just sitting there like, what? I've been living in a rental for 3 years. I got student loans. I pay for my own insurance. I'm not out here buying yachts. I ask how much they're talking about, thinking what? 500? 8,000? Nah, 20,000. Dead silence. My dad just looks away. My mom suddenly finds something fascinating on her phone. And Loretta's fiance is just scrolling, not even pretending to pay attention. Tina says it's just what's expected if I care about this family. I kind of laugh is this a joke? And Tina immediately starts up about how I owe it to everyone for all the times people helped me out growing up. My mom starts listing stuff. From 10 years ago, the time I crashed my bike and my uncle paid for a tire, or when I stayed at my aunt's for a week when I was sick. I'm not even going to get into how much free tech support I've given these people, or how many times I picked up dinner on my way home from my parents. I try to explain I can't just hand over that kind of money. I have my own life. It's not realistic. And that's when it goes nuclear. Tina says I'm selfish human garbage. My mom says I'm not the son she thought she raised. My dad just sits there jaw tight, not saying anything, but he doesn't look at me. Loretta doesn't even argue. She just shakes her head and starts texting. I left pretty quick after that. Didn't slam the door, but I definitely didn't say goodbye. Figured whatever, let them cool off. Except it didn't cool off. Next day, I wake up to a bunch of missed calls and texts. My uncle in the group chat says, "I'm ungrateful, and family means sacrifice." My aunt sends me this paragraph about how I'm undermining Loretta's happiness, and I'll regret this when I'm alone. I try to ignore it, mute the chat, go about my day. The real kicker is when my mom starts calling my friends, people who have no idea what's going on, and tells them I'm having a breakdown and hurting the family. One of my friends, Harper, messages me asking if I'm okay, says my mom told him I snapped at dinner. I'm just WTF? I didn't even raise my voice. Later that week, I'm coming back to my place after picking up groceries. And I see a bunch of my old stuff on the street in front of my parents' house, like boxes with my name on them, a couple trophies from high school, even that old laptop I used for college. I go up to the door, try my key, and it doesn't work. I ring the bell. My dad opens it, stands there, says nothing. Just points at the boxes, then shuts the iStand there for a sec, thinking maybe he'll open back up, but nope. So, I load up my car with what I can, leave the rest. On my way out, I check my email. There's a message sent to basically everyone in my extended family, plus a few people I barely know. Subject: Edwin's betrayal. My parents write this whole thing about how I'm a vile, ungrateful parasite, and how they're ashamed I'm their son. I almost laugh, but I screenshot it and send it to a couple friends so they know what's up. Next 2 days, I get texts from cousins. Some of them saying I should apologize, some backing me up. Mostly people just asking for the real story. I just say the truth. They wanted money. I said no. I keep my head down, block a few numbers, mute the family group. Then, like it can't get any dumber, I'm at a coffee spot with a friend and my aunt. Tina shows up out of nowhere, storms over and starts yelling at me like I'm some criminal. Says I've destroyed the family legacy. I tell her this isn't the place. She tries to grab my arm. I pull away and tell her to get out of my face. She slaps my arm hard and says I'm a disgrace. My friend gets up and tells her to leave. She finally storms out, knocking over a chair on her way. I'm not even mad at this point, just done. I'm tired of being the family scapegoat. I haven't done anything wrong, and everyone's acting like I set the house on fire. But honestly, I'm not just going to sit here and take it. I haven't even started yet. If they want to see what selfish looks like, fine. Next time they come for me, they're going to regret it. I'm going to make sure of it. Update 1. Alright, so, yeah. Didn't think people would ask for more, but here we are. Not going to lie, I'm still a little pissed off typing this out, but it's almost funny how far this has gone. Not in a haha way, more like a, are you serious right now kind of way. Anyway, if you didn't see part 1, my family basically declared me public enemy number 1 because I wouldn't write a blank check. For Loretta's wedding, you'd think refusing to pay for some overpriced venue would be the end of it. But nah, it just keeps getting dumber. So, the first thing I noticed after the driveway, lockout, mass email thing is how quiet everything got. It's weird. You don't realize how much noise is in your life until it all just stops. I'd muted the family group chat, but I started getting random messages from people I barely talk to. I'm talking like old classmates, neighbors, people I haven't even seen in years. Apparently, my mom sent out some huge chain email and a bunch of people actually forwarded it to each other. I get this one from my old soccer coach like, "Hey dude, I hope you're okay. Your mom says you're struggling." I text my mom, basically just asking her to stop, and she leaves me on read. Cool. Then it's like every other day someone new is checking in. One of my friends, Harper, who's usually chill, asks if I did something to piss off my family because my mom called her and said I was having some kind of breakdown. I say, "Nope, just not funding a wedding." And Harper's like, "Okay, but your parents are telling everyone you ruined everything." She asks if I need help. Sort of skeptical, but not really taking sides. I can tell she doesn't know what to believe. Can't even blame her TBH. If someone told me this story, I'd probably think it was a little off too. So now I'm just living my life, doing the normal stuff, but it's all off. I see my own name in group stories, like people tagging each other about family drama, and it's always vague, like they're fishing for sympathy. Loretta posts this pic of her crying with some sappy caption about family betrayal, and it gets 100 comments, and I know at least half of them are my aunts and cousins just hyping her up. The worst part is, my parents keep going. They start calling my landlord, telling him I'm not stable, asking if there's been any issues with the neighbors. My landlord's confused, asked if I'm behind on rent or something. I'm not. I pay early. I keep to myself. I don't even throw parties. I tell him just ignore my parents. But I can feel the judgment like, what the hell is wrong with you people? My aunt Tina, who I guess is just determined to make this the hill she dies on, shows up again, this time at my apartment. She literally waits outside until I come back from getting takeout. She starts yelling, says I'm tearing the family apart for attention, and she tries to get into my apartment when I open the door. I block her, tell her to leave, and she goes off, shoving me and calling me a coward. I tell her, if she doesn't leave, I'm calling someone to get her out, and she finally storms off, slamming the lobby door so hard that the people at the mailboxes just stare. The next day, I get a call from Loretta herself. She's never called me before, not once, but now she's suddenly got time. She tells me I'm ruining her life, and that if I cared about the family, I'd just find a way to help. I ask her what about all the times I did help, or the fact that it's not my job to fix everyone's mess. She hangs up. Right after, Tina starts blowing up my phone with texts about how I'm gloating and how she hopes I'm happy that Loretta's wedding might have to be less than perfect. I block her. So now it's just getting pathetic. My cousin Sergio messages me on the side, says he doesn't get why everyone is so obsessed with this wedding, but that people are talking about cutting me off for good. I ask him if he believes any of it, and he says, IDK man, Tina's always been like this. It's just worse now because she thinks you're the reason people are doubting Loretta. I tell him I appreciate it, but I'm done defending myself. Also, my mom starts sending me these guilt trip texts. Stuff like, you're not our son anymore, and you've made your choice. I ask her if she even cares about how this looks, and she just says, you brought this on yourself. My dad doesn't text at all, just radio silence. At this point, I'm convinced he's just letting my mom and Tina run the whole thing because it's easier. The next time I go out, someone I barely know from high school corners me at the grocery store. He's like, hey, I heard you got kicked out. What happened? I just shrug and say, family drama. And he laughs like it's a joke. People love a train wreck that isn't theirs, I guess. So here's where it gets actually insane. I start losing invites to stuff. One of my cousins is having a birthday, and suddenly I'm not in the group chat for the planning. A mutual friend unfollows me and then sends me a message asking if I'm as bad as everyone says. I ask what she means, and she just says there's a lot of talk about you. I tell her to believe what she wants. My family is basically trying to erase me from everything. I try to talk to my mom in person just to get some kind of closure, but when I show up at the house, she closes the door in my face. I knock. She tells me to go away. I ask her, when did I become the enemy? She says, when you put yourself above your family. She slams the door. It's like every day someone else is picking a side. And I can see who's loyal and who just wants to be in the good graces of Tina and my mom. It's not even about the money anymore. It's about control. They want me to feel isolated, to break me down until I say sorry and write a check. They're mad that I'm not begging to come back. I'll admit, I thought about just letting it go, but then I get this message from my landlord again. This time, about concerned relatives asking if I'm okay. I'm done. I'm done being quiet about it. I start going through my messages, screenshots, everything. I see all the stuff I've done for this family. All the times I helped them out, bailed people out, fixed things, paid for things, nobody even thanked me. It's all receipts now. So I start reaching out to the cousins who aren't totally brainwashed. I tell them what's happening, what Tina and my mom are doing. A couple admit they thought it was weird that I got iced out so quick, and they ask for proof. I send them the screenshots. They're shocked, but not exactly running to defend me. More. Like, wow, that's messed up, but I don't want to get involved. Classic. I start thinking, what can I actually do here? They want to play hardball. Fine. I know a lot about how this family work, where the stress points are, what they actually care about. Money is one thing, but reputation, that's their weak spot. Especially with all the wedding stuff. They want everything to look perfect, like we're all a happy family with money to burn. So, I start planning. Not going to say what just yet, but I'm not going to just sit back and let them trash my name for free. They want consequences. They're going to get them. It's not even about the wedding anymore. It's about respect. They think they can break me. Nah, they just made the wrong enemy. Update 2. I'll be real, I didn't expect this to keep blowing up, but since people keep asking for more and I'm still getting random you good DMs, here's how the last week went down. Angel, if you told me a month ago I'd be screenshotting group chats and Googling how to block family numbers, I'd have laughed in your face. So, after the last round of door slamming, Shvi's in the lobby, and my mom calling my old friends like she's running a smear campaign, it just gets quiet in a weird way. Not in a peaceful way. More like everyone's waiting for me to make a move. I guess that's the thing with family drama. It's not just yelling and crying. Sometimes it's this weird silence where, everyone's talking behind your back, but nobody says it to your face. Anyway, I start noticing little things. My cousin Sergio stops liking any of my posts. My uncle Albert, who used to send me dumb memes, unfriends me. Then I get this random text from Loretta's fiancé, who I barely know, basically saying I should do the right thing before things go too far. I ignore him, but it's wild how bold people get when they think the mob is behind them. So I start thinking, if they want to freeze me out, fine. But I'm not just going to sit around. I know this family better than anyone. I know where the skeletons are. Whose credit cards are Mac? Who actually pays the yearly taxes on the family vacation house? Hint, it's me and my dad, and nobody else chips in. Who's only showing up to events for the free food? It's not like I'm out here with lawyer money or some huge trust fund, but I do know the details, because my parents made me handle a lot of the boring stuff since I was a teenager. The wedding planning, the reason they expected me to cover 20 grand, is because I kept things running so nobody else had to. They never even said thank you, just acted like it was my job. So yeah, if they want to cut me off, I'll show them what happens when I cut them off for real. First thing, I stop paying my share of the property tax and insurance for the lake house. I text my dad, tell him he's on his own for the next payment, and that I won't be covering anyone else. He doesn't even reply, just leaves me on red. Not my problem any. I know the bill is coming up soon, and if it's late, everyone who uses that house for their retreats or parties is going to notice. I also know Tina has been bragging about hosting a bachelorette thing there. So, if something goes wrong, she'll be first to panic. The next thing, I start gathering the receipts. All the times I covered bills, fixed things, drove people, paid deposits for family events, handled utilities on the shared properties. I put it all in a doc with dates, amounts, screenshots, the works. Not to be petty, okay, maybe a little petty, but because I'm tired of being called a parasite when I was literally carrying more than my share for years. I send it to a couple cousins like, hey, just so you know, this is what's actually been happening. Most don't reply, but a few are like, wow, I had no idea. Sergio says he figured I was doing more than people knew, but didn't want to get involved. Classic. Loretta starts getting nervous. I can tell because she's posting even more vague stuff online. Something about when people show you who they are. Believe them. I don't even react. Then the real hit. I email the family group. Just like my parents did to me, I keep it simple. I say, just so everyone is clear, I am no longer responsible for any shared family costs, including the lake house, utilities, or anything related to Loretta's wedding. I attach the doc with the breakdown. I don't throw insults. I don't call names. I just put it all out there. Receipts, dates, the whole deal. I CC everyone Tina did. Even the weird cousins who live 3 states away and only show up for the holidays. Within 6 hours, my phone is blowing up. Half the family is mad. Half is suddenly very quiet. Tina calls me 7 times in a row. Leaves a voicemail about how I'm burning bridges. My mom texts me, says I'm embarrassing her. My dad finally calls, says I'm making things worse. I tell him, you want me to stop? Then you and Tina need to fix the mess you made. He hangs up. The next day, Tina comes to my apartment again. This time, she brings Loretta, who's crying before she even gets out of the car. I tell them I'm not letting them inside. Tina tries to push past me. I block the door. She shoves my arm and says, I'm ruining everything. I tell her if she doesn't leave, I'll record everything and send it to the group chat. Loretta just stands there sobbing. And finally, Tina drags her away, slamming the car door so hard the neighbor comes out to see what's going on. Not done yet? I go online, check the payment status for the wedding vendor. Turns out my name is on some of the contracts because I helped book the photographer and the venue when Loretta first started planning back when I thought everyone was just pitching in a little. So, I email both CC Tina and tell them I'm no longer involved and to remove my name from everything. I make it clear that any unpaid balances are not my responsibility. The photographer says that without my payment, the date isn't locked. The venue says the same. I forward everything to the family chat. Now it's chaos. Loretta is texting me nonstop, begging me to fix it. Tina is calling me names. My mom says I'm breaking her heart. My dad tries to guilt trip me. Says, I'm making the family look bad. I tell him, you did this to yourselves. Sergio texts me, dude, what did you do? Everyone's flipping out. I say, nothing they didn't do first. The next morning, I see Loretta post a story. When people you trusted turn on you, you find out who really matters. I almost laugh. My landlord texts to say he got another call from my mom, this time saying, I'm unstable. He asks if I want him to block her number. I say yes. He says he will. Honestly, the energy is different now. It's not just them attacking, it's them scrambling. People start messaging me privately, some apologizing, some just fishing for gossip. I tell them, you pick your side. I'm not backing down. The final thing I do is text my dad and say, don't ever use my name or my money for anything family related again. He just says, I hope you're happy. I don't reply. They want to see what happens when I stop being the responsible one. Fine. Now they get to deal with the mess themselves. Part 4 is coming, but let's just say meltdown is the right word for what happened next. Final update. So, I thought things had peaked with the whole wedding collapse and the group chat war, but nah. Turns out my family still had more crazy to go. It's honestly kind of wild watching people who always acted like they were above drama suddenly turning into the main characters of it. If you'd told me last year my mom would be leaving me voicemails with actual threats in them, I'd have said, you're nuts. But here we are. Right after my last update, stuff hits a new level. I'm getting these weird texts from random numbers like, you ruined Loretta's future. Hope you're happy. I block them. I grab groceries and run into my aunt, Susan, who straight up ignores me in the parking lot. She actually turns around and walks the other way, which is funny because she's always the one bragging about being the family peacemaker. TBH, the wedding mess is just the start. That same weekend, my dad sends this online text. You need to fix this. I don't even reply. I'm not fixing anything. I warned them. They didn't listen. I get a call from the venue about the overdue balance, and I tell them, not my problem. I'm not involved. Loretta tries to guilt trip me with these long messages about how she trusted me like I ever promised to bankroll her princess fantasy. Tina spams my phone with crying face emojis, then full-on rants about the legacy and how I shamed the whole family. I block her again. Next thing, the family group chat is just a flood of finger-pointing. People are openly blaming my parents for losing the lake house. I get CC'd on a chain of emails where some cousin in another state is demanding to see the receipts for all the shared costs over the last few years. The best part is, nobody actually knows who paid what, because my dad and Tina kept that vague on purpose. So, everyone's mad at everyone else now. A couple old relatives announced they're not coming to the wedding anymore, and Loretta posts some "We Rise Above the Hate" thing on her story. Honestly, it's a mess, but I'm not even in it anymore. So, the fallout. The lake house gets a notice about unpaid taxes. I hear from Sergio that the bachelorette party is off. Everyone's fighting about who's going to cover the bills, and some vendor is threatening to cancel unless they get paid up front. Tina calls my dad screaming, apparently loud enough that neighbors heard, and he slams the door. My mom leaves this voicemail about how I'm destroying everything they worked for, how nobody will ever forget this. I save the voicemail just in case. My phone blows up with cousins trying to get my side of the story. Most just want to gossip, not actually help. Harper, the friend my mom called, texts me to say she finally gets it now. After seeing how my parents act, she says, "Uncle, your family is brutal." I laugh and tell her, "Yeah, I'm out." I start moving the rest of my stuff out of my old room. My mom is there, arms crossed, just staring at me. Not a word. My dad walks by, shakes his head, mutters something about selfishness. I ignore them. I grab my boxes, and as I'm leaving, my mom shoves past me, slams the door. No apology, no nothing. Classic. I hear from Sergio a few days later that the wedding has been postponed indefinitely. Loretta's blaming me. Tina's blaming my parents. My parents are blaming each other. Apparently, there's now a rumor that I embezzled family, which is hilarious because I was the only one actually paying bills. Sergio's pissed too, because he was counting on the lake house for his own plans, and now he's got nowhere to go. I tell him, "You saw what happened. I'm not the bad guy here. It's all fallout now." My mom sends one last email, copying the whole family, saying I'm officially cut off and should never contact them again. I read it, delete it, block her email. My dad tries calling. I don't answer. Tina sends a handwritten letter. Seriously, who even does that? Annie basically saying I destroyed everything and I'll never be forgiven. I throw it in a drawer and forget about it. I'm not going to pretend I feel amazing or whatever. It sucks to lose family, even if they're toxic. I keep in touch with Sergio and a couple of cousins who actually get it, but honestly, most of them just want the drama. At the end of the day, I'm finally free from the guilt trips, the money grabs, and the fake legacy nonsense. No more being the family scapegoat. No more being the ATM. My parents can keep their legacy. Loretta can find someone else to pay for her fairy tale. And I can finally live my life without waiting for the next phone call demanding I fix someone else's mess. So, yeah, that's it. They wanted a meltdown. They got it. I'm not looking back. Thanks for reading if you made it through all this. If you're in a similar spot, seriously, don't let your family bully you into being their safety net. Sometimes the only way to win is to stop playing their game. I'm out.